Hi, folks. My name is Jason Moore. I am a representative of MTGOacademy.com. Today I'm presenting for your viewing pleasure the latest installment of That's right, Dime a Dozen. We're playing Classic Pauper as always. But today we're playing Izzet Control in the Pauper two-man queues, and I'm pretty excited to talk to you about this deck because, spoiler alert, this deck actually did pretty good in these videos. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. First of all, I'm going to talk about why I arrived at this deck. We've been playing Goblins for the past couple installments, and I can really only play those a couple times in a row before I need to change it up and try something else, just so that people don't get restless and that everybody at the site is happy and all is well in the world. And I tested out a lot of different decks. And specifically for the realm of the two-man queues, there's certain types of decks I want to be playing. And honestly, a deck like this, a control deck that leads to drawn out longer games, is not usually one of them. However, throughout my testing, I don't know what it was. There's not a lot of decks I'm interested in playing right now based on how the metagame is and where I'm at as a player and as a person right now. I'm just not interested in playing certain strategies and stuff. So maybe that's something I need to look at and kind of work with and figure out why that is. But control decks to me are fun to play. They have a lot of weaknesses that I don't like bringing to the table when it comes to Classic Pauper. But this one in particular, at least I think does have some decent matchups when we're talking about the top tier opponents, the top tier deck strategies we're planning to face. And most of all, I just didn't find anything that I was really liking that I thought was perfect for the two-mans. So I decided just to play something that I like and that I thought would be fun. So I'm going to talk about this deck. It's obviously a control deck, which means that it wants to beat people in a long game. And the way it does that is by playing, this deck in particular, is playing 12 spot removal spells. It's playing 7 pieces of permission. It's playing 10 threats that win the game. And then it's playing, 4, 8, about 12 pieces of card draw and card advantage to accumulate this resource dominance. So getting into the specifics, we'll start with the mana base. And the mana base is split fairly evenly between blue and red sources. I'm actually playing 17 blue sources, and the reason I'm doing that is because we're playing double blue spells like Counterspell and Logic Knot that we want to have access to earlier in the game. So I've slanted the distribution slightly towards blue. We would also prefer to have a turn 1 Delver and early Preordain to fix our colors, rather than have red and not be able to cast those early Delvers and Preordains. So that's another reason. Specifically looking at the land base, we've got 4 Swiftwater Cliffs and 4 Izzet Guildgate. Basically, these are serving a very similar role to each other. And then we have 3 fetch lands in the form of a split between Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. So that gives us 11 come into play tap lands that serve as color fixing. That's really important. You'll notice I'm not playing any of the bounce lands. I think those are just a little too slow for how I want to be playing my Izzet control deck. I also have a single Radiant Fountain. So that's all I could fit with the color distribution being what it is, 15 red sources, 17 blue, which I feel is pretty necessary. I could only fit room for 1 colorless land, and this is to gain us some life. You'll probably notice in the past that Burn is quite a popular deck to play in two-man queues, and I think it's a decent deck to play in two-man queues. You get in there, you play these quick matches, you're doing something very proactive, and you're punishing a lot of people for trying out jank like Izzet Control by just burning their faces off. So I tried to incorporate as much life gain as I could, which is also why we're playing a Singleton Pristine Talisman. So I'm just going to include that in the discussion right now, because it's also a mana source. And this is a way just to get these small edges and gain some life when we can. You'll notice I also have a second Pristine Talisman in the sideboard, which is for the burn matchup. There's not a lot of life gain at common for blue or red. Bottle Gnomes is now a consideration, but I haven't picked those up yet. So I decided just to be a little bit lazy and try out the Talisman. So you've seen the land base. Let's get into just brass tacks about how this deck operates. So we have our threats, the ways that we win the game, and none of them are really integral. We need something to win, but we don't need a specific piece to win, because all of the other components of the deck and the way we play out the game is ultimately what facilitates a victory. So these creatures are not necessarily that important, though they are very good creatures. The Delver of Secrets, 4 copies. Well, what happened with the preview? The preview box just blew up. Maybe it's because it's a flip card. But Delver of Secrets is kind of cool because it has a way of unseating the opponent's plan and their rhythm, their flow, their tempo. It kind of turns the game on its head, because even though we're the slow, dirtily controlled deck, we can play a turn 1 Delver and actually be the beatdown. We can change the dynamic of the entire game because we force the opponent to deal with the Delver. And it gives this deck a lot of play because we actually sometimes get to set the tempo and make the opponent react to us. And there's points in time where they don't even realize when we've backed off of this early Delver plan and taken the control role, where we've reassigned our own role in the game and now backed off and said, hey, I can play a long game anyway. Even if you deal with my early Delvers, it really doesn't matter, because my long-term plan is to beat you on turn 50 or what, that's an exaggeration. But so Delver's really nice because, yeah, sometimes it can even just accidentally win for you, get you some free wins. But the real thing is that it can shake up the game and change the opponent's expectations and their ability to react and implement their own plan, because they're getting beat in the air for a relevant amount of damage. We have these 2 Frostburn Weirds, which are primarily defensive creatures, but because of that huge toughness at 2 mana and the ability to attack for 4 damage with later in the game, I think it's a pretty cool card to be messing with and playing around with. The mana flexibility in the mana cost is also pretty relevant because it allows us to leave up counterspell or removal as we see fit. And then, of course, we're playing 4 Mold Drifter. I mean, this is one of the best cards in the format, and it's a great staple of these control strategies that I love to play. So I'm not really going to go too in-depth there. Now let's just get into the removal here, how we deal with creature threats. We've got 4 Flame Slash, which for a while has been a standard of removal by which all other removal spells are judged. Due to the incorporation of Gurmag Angler into the format, I think Flame Slash is definitely in question now, but for the most part, it's still a great rate for a 1-mana removal spell. We're supplementing that with 4 Lightning Bolts, which of course have set the standard for red burn since the game was invented. And then we've got these 2 Fire Bolts, which give us a little bit of card advantage by creating a 2-for-1. On top of all that, you'll notice that none of these spells can deal with a creature beyond 4 toughness, so we do have a copy of Curse of Chains and a copy of Narcolepsy, just to give us some versatility, some ways to deal with big creatures. These are not foolproof. These are not catch-alls that can deal with every type of creature in every situation, but it's a compromise that we're making in order to make sure that we don't just auto-lose to certain creatures and certain threats. The Counter Suite consists of 4 Counterspell, which is a bit of a no-brainer, and then the Singleton Logic Knot, which a lot of the times is going to function just like a counterspell, because of all of our cheap spells. Look at our mana distribution. It's very oriented at the 1-drop slot. We have about 20 1-mana spells, and then we have somewhere around 10 or 11, 12 2-mana spells. and we fill up our graveyard. So this Logic Knot can function early on as a counter, it can function later on as a counter, and we're just playing one, so we never really get punished by drawing it too heavily. I think it's a pretty strong card. It's comparable to Deprive. In some instances, it's obviously strictly better than Deprive. So something to think about, guys. I really like this. It's a virtual 5th counterspell, and then 2 dispels in the main deck. This is a cheap counterspell that interacts with a lot of powerful effects in the format, so it's really nice to have, I think, in the main deck. And you'll notice, particularly in round 1, I think we took our opponent by surprise. This might be the reason that we have even won some of the games that we did win in the matches. So that's the counter suite. We have a few conditional counters in the sideboard as well. So now we'll just look at our card draw. Preordained, fairly intuitive 1 mana library manipulation spell that works wonders in any control deck. 2 Think Twice, really just to glue things together. Just to have an intermediary card draw spell between the early and late game to bridge things. And then we've got 1 of each, a compulsive research to get ahead on cards, and then Una's Grace, which is really our end game plan that just helps us dominate the rest of the game. It's death by 1,000 cuts, if you will. It's just a slow death on the opponent, burying them in card advantage 1 card at a time, turning all of our what would be dead land drops into relevant cycling. So I really like the numbers on this. The 1 research makes sure that we're not flooded with compulsive researches against aggressive plans, and the 1 Una's Grace, basically you only need 1. You don't want multiples in your hands anyway. So that's the main deck. The sideboard's a little weird, but you got to keep in mind, guys, that at the time of this recording, at the time of me putting this together, I'm trying to fight off the top 4 or 5 archetypes in the format. So at the time of this recording, that would be, Delver, mono blue, Esper Familiars, it'd be mono black control, it'd be mono green Stompy. There's also considerations to be made for blue black, which is the Delver, Gurmag, Angler strategy and stuff like that. But mainly with this, I was planning to beat, quote unquote, Delver, Stompy, possibly mono black, Esper don't really have a great game against, but we do have a sideboard plan, quote unquote, against it. So the curse plan is for other big control decks that don't have a lot of win conditions, and for mono black control. Any deck that has a ton of removal spells and wants to kill our creature threat plan, but can't deal very well with the resolved Curse of the Bloody Tome and can't end the game quick enough to outrace it, because we play a lot of removal spells too. This would be a decent card against our deck as well. So only could fit 2 in the board. 1 Echoing Truth. You never know when you're going to want to bounce a permanent that you could otherwise not be able to deal with. But this is also mainly in here to deal with token strategies and kill a bunch of creature tokens all at once. Electrickery is another pseudo sweeper, kind of like Echoing Truth, but also can be pretty good against 1 mana fairies, 1 mana goblins and stuff. 2 Hydroblast. This helps us in the burn matchup, as does this Pristine Talisman. The 2 Pyroblast can help us against other blue decks like Delver and other controlling strategies. Also Esper Familiars, and that's where these Stone Rains come in. 4 copies of Stone Rain. Our plan is really just to have an early Delver, early Frostburn Weird, and Stone Rain all of their relevant Karoo bounce lands, hopefully to win. Not a great plan, but whatever. We have a catch-all against graveyard strategies in Relic of Progenitus, and Serrated Arrows, which I still think is a really strong, versatile card. If you think about how many decks this can be used against, it's kind of mind-boggling. Basically, anybody that wants to beat you down with multiple creatures besides Hexproof is not going to like seeing this card across the table from them. So I think it's a sideboard, possibly sideboard all-star for us. This is Izzet Control. I'm going to shut the hell up, and I'm going to let you guys enjoy the matches, which I hope you will do, going into the two-man queues. And I think there are some interesting games here. Definitely some games that I didn't think we had any business winning, but we ended up pulling out anyway, which is pretty cool. So thank you guys in advance, and I hope you will enjoy watching the rest of this installment of Hello, we've got a two-man queue battle about to commence. Let me just make sure we're recording here. Get out of the way. Alright, so we're on the draw. We're definitely keeping this hand. We've got a Frostburn Weird, we've got our mana. So we got Preordain, we got some interaction. Let's go. I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. Looks like he's either Hexproof or Stompy. Or Elves. All of those matchups could potentially be tough. Let's start with the Guild Gate, because we're not 100% sure what he is yet. This is probably our best chance to throw a tapped land down. And next turn we can maybe preordain into a removal spell. Or we can just throw the Frostburn Weird. I'm not sure what he is yet. It's either Stompy or Elves, most likely. So, looking probably like Stompy, for him to lead on a Nettle Sentinel and not dedicated ramp mana elf. And if he just comes out the gates really blistering with some Stompy guys, a Pit Skulk, yeah, so this still could be Elves, but it's probably Stompy at this point. Could be in trouble. So he's actually leaving up protection mana in the form of Vines. So for us to cast a Preordain and try and find something, I think is a little ambitious. So what I'm going to do here is actually play Frostburn Weird. And I'll play an island because we have a lot of blue in our hand. There's a chance we may need a lot of blue sources. Now this Frostburn Weird is probably just going to get trampled over, not trampled over, but steamrolled by a pump spell. And I think I'm fine with that at this juncture. We really just need to buy some time. Next turn, our plays open up with a Preordain, a removal spell, and a Dispel to stop his aggression. So I'm fine blocking with the Weird. And I guess I'll block the Nettle Sentinel because it's the most potential damage. We have to ask ourselves, what is this Frostburn Weird really going to do for us? Now, we can sit back one turn and try to actually trade and hold up a Dispel. That's actually an interesting notion. But because he's only attacking with one guy, I think I'm going to block here. I'm going to save my life total. Whatever he's planning, at least by me quote-unquote chump blocking, we at least throw... We don't have to worry about a Pit Skulk coming down and all that. So he uses a Gather Courage and probably going to play another threat. Yeah, ooh, that's a tough one to deal with. So he actually is using this to ramp. Okay, so here's a Curse of Chains, but it doesn't do a lot against a Quirion Ranger. Or a Nettle Sentinel, because that can untap on its own. So I'm going to start with Preordain, hopefully find a burn spell for this guy. And we don't want either of these, because we're not going to be able to survive very long. Ooh, another Preordain. Do I play the island first? Because we're not going to be able to Dispel. So I think we'll just Preordain first. In case, despite all our efforts, we get a tapped land. We might even just leave up Dispel in that case anyway. So there's a Firebolt and a Lightning Bolt. I actually want both. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do this. I'm going to top, and I'm going to try and Firebolt. Even though it's going to eat a Vines, we need to buy some time. Basically, we need to survive up until Mole Drifter, so we can start blocking this. He might, we might be in trouble because a Hunger on this turn would pretty much destroy us. But he's going to use a Vine, so that's good. So we're saving ourselves some life, obviously. We're going to take at least 4. But then when we untap, we're looking okay. We can even bolt this and curse this, but that's not a great idea. I think we have to just bolt this. And then we need to try and get Mole Drifter for her. Yeah, it's an uphill climb on this particular game. I think the matchup should be decent, actually, just because of how much removal and card advantage we do have. So here's a Young Wolf. So we're going to want to probably curse that. In fact, maybe this time we're going to Lightning Bolt and curse that. Oh, never mind. Yep, we knew we were drawing that. So I think we've got to go for the Lightning Bolt. What is my plan? Because one option here, we definitely need to get to 5 mana to win. So we're at 14. 5 mana gets us this and this. We can bolt him and curse him only to have... Does he have a forest in hand? I'm actually not sure. Yeah, he played a forest after, so we don't know what's in his hand. So we can try and get both of these Rangers out of the picture and then curse this guy. But I don't think we actually need that. I think we just need to bolt here. We can use the curse, if we want. Or we can just leave up. It depends if he tries to counter this. Because then I'm just going to use Dispel. Alright, so here I'm actually going to hold up Una's Grace and Dispel. Because Curse of Chains doesn't actually do anything, it just costs us 2 mana. We're taking at least 4. Another Young Wolf. That's really tough. But it's kind of nice that he doesn't have so many protection spells. Okay. Alright. Well, it's looking real grim. Maybe a Radiant Fountain would be a good draw because... Ooh, a counter spell, but we did find the land. I think we have to go shields down for a turn and just play the Mole Drifter. Because right now we're getting our socks rocked. We know that his last card is probably a Vines of Vastwood or something. So we're just going to chump block with this, hopefully find more that we can work with. But we're really against the ropes. If he has a Vines, it's 5, 6, 7, 8 if he just doesn't... Yeah, so we'll just take a block. I'm going to try for the Ledge Walker. We could also try and take out the Rangers now, and then our Curse of Chains looks better. So why don't I try that? That actually seems reasonable. So we can curse this, block, or kill this, and then block the Ledge Walker. Alright, we're at 6. I think we actually might be... Well, I was going to say, I think we might be able to survive, but now that there's a Sentinel there, it's really annoying. He's been using that every turn. Delver's actually pretty good, so we have... Yeah, we have 5 mana. We can bolt... Delver, Curse, and leave up Dispel. So let's do that. Delver at least trades with Ranger at this point. Curse isn't bad because next turn we're going to Firebolt the Quirion Ranger, so we're at least a little okay here. Whatever he's planning with the with his last card, we're just going to Dispel. Hopefully. Hopefully he just draws a blank next turn. We're at 6, so this is really kind of down to the wire, obviously. You guys can tell that. But things are, I mean, shaping up a lot better than I could have expected. He's not going to expect a Dispel. Maybe he'll expect a Lightning Bolt, but a Dispel, there's no way. So he's going to tap and then use Quirion Ranger. Okay. Play a land. Even a Rancor's not too bad unless he puts it on a Young Wolf. So what are you going to do? We have to Dispel whatever he does and just hope that he's got nothing else. We can't afford to... Ooh, see, that's really bad for us. We're still okay. Nah, we're going to 2. Well, then we have a Firebolt. And we have a Counterspell. Okay. So, I think we gotta kill 2 of his guys. Man, the Undying... Yeah, we gotta kill 2 of his guys, then this doesn't untap. He actually made a big mistake because he used his Quirion Ranger now, and he put the Rancor on the guy that has a curse on it. So we actually only have to worry about this Young Wolf right now, because this one's not going to untap. So we may have just stabilized at 2 life, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, he put the Rancor on the wrong creature, that's for sure. I mean, he might have another Ranger, but, you know, we're not going to be able to really beat that, I don't think. Just because we stabilize at 2 doesn't mean we're going to win. Obviously, we have to find a lot of good stuff. We have an Una's Grace in the yard, so we need to start thinking about that. This is, of course, one of the decks I was expecting. It's one of the top 5 decks in the metagame in terms of daily events, so definitely had it in mind. We do have about 10 burn spells. The curses aren't great against this matchup, but they're a versatile removal spell. And then Dispel's main are decent against them. I mean, think about saving yourself 4 damage and keeping them from protecting their guy. Pretty cool. All right, let's do this. I mean, he pretty much committed to the attack, so whatever he's got needs to be played. But he wasn't expecting Dispel. I think he was pretty much expecting a Lightning Bolt there. So, you know, he was hoping that this would come back with a counter and then he could put the Rancor on. But now we're actually looking much better because of the fact... See, now I can Una's Grace and leave up Counterspell. Or I can Firebolt and leave up Counterspell, which might be even better. No, I think we just Una's Grace here. Probably should have... I don't know, tap 2 mountains, hard to say. Oh, that's a good one. We're going to have to cast that next turn, though. Alright, things are looking much better. Oh, this Talisman, oh my goodness, could be very good for us. Pretty much counter anything he plays, and then hope that the Talisman can bring it home. He might not even attack. And then the Una's Grace could really, wow, pull us out of a game that looked like we had no business winning whatsoever. Alright, so we just untap. And we could research here, but I think Talisman is just a better option. Ooh. Now he's drawing his lands. Yeah, Talisman's going to hopefully quickly pull us up from the depths of despair. Yeah, he's just got one card, so... And he's in the tank. We definitely have a lot of... we have a time advantage here. We're going to be able to also firebolt something, so we don't necessarily have to counter a creature, because we can firebolt and leave up counterspell. Okay. Alright, so should I research? Yes, I think so. We already have a built-in land that we can sack. We might just play it, but... Oh, wow. Alright, so we're definitely pitching that Evolving Wilds. I'm going to play the Cliffs just to get another land drop in. And I'm going to leave... Well, I didn't tap correctly. I could have left up 2 counterspells there. And now we need to start closing the window on him. He could definitely squeak something through here. Well, I didn't really tap wrong. I mean, I needed blue to tap for the research, so I did what I could. Now, it's debatable if playing this is worth not drawing a card with Grace, but because we have the Think Twice, and the Grace can be cast at any turn that we find a land, I think it was useful. Wow. I mean, we were at 2 life. He had 4 or 5 creatures on the board. It was pretty awesome. Alright, so it looks like he has probably 2 pump spells now. I'm still going to take the block and see what happens. I mean, there's no way of knowing what he's got. So he's going to Groundswell. So I guess I could Think Twice first, or I can just cast Logic Knot. I think I'll just cast Logic Knot. We want to hide like the number of counters we're doing. So this is probably fine. I think 5 is... There's no way he's really going to get much more mana. Now maybe he fights through this and then, you know, maybe there's a problem, but... Okay, maybe the next creature is just a lot better. We'll see, but I do have a Firebolt in my yard. My shields were kind of down there, but I can't let him stick the Young Wolf, you know? Alright, cool. We can kill that. We're looking really good. We still got a counterspell up. Definitely just kill that immediately. See if I play the other land. This is 3, 6, 8. So I actually don't need to play a land here. I'll just leave the lands there, so I can try and draw more cards. I mean, I could play one, but I'm not going to. And we also need to start finding more mole drifters. That's kind of what we're looking for here. Because now we just trade with the young wolf. I mean, these are going to convert into raw cards, so that's kind of cool. It's going to be really hard for him to negotiate a victory because he needs to draw really strong card quality while we're drawing more and more cards and gaining life every turn. So it's going to be really tough for him. Just block again. Counter whatever he plays. And yeah, that's it. Okay, that's that. Wow. Okay. Think twice. Wow. So I have 2, 5, 7, 8. I'm gonna. Well, I guess I can think twice for a cheaper. Just see what we draw. Pretty much nothing. Definitely cast you. And I guess I'll play one of these lands tapped because then I can think twice into something if I need to. I can think twice and counterspell, which is just really efficient here. And then with this, I can start closing out the game at 4 damage a turn. We've drawn about 13, or we've seen 13 more cards than he has. So that says a lot. Wow, this talisman was just such a timely draw. I mean, we had a lot of things go right. With him rancoring this, us having that dispel up, being able to take out both Quirion Rangers so that this curse would work, and then drawing the pristine talisman right on time. That was sick. Alright. I'm just going to rip through my deck now. Probably play that. There's a lightning bolt. So here, I'm just going to pump my guy up. I'll leave up lightning bolt. So we'll just leave up 4 mana. Right? Or 3. We just need to leave up 3, my bad. 3 is the magic number. So what's this? A scattershot archer. Okay. I can kill that. And I don't need to do it right this second. I can grace first, draw some cards. I don't think he can flash in anything that's too daunting. And I have a Dispel and I have a Narcolepsy, so I just have everything. Let's just see another card, why not? And should I use a Bolt or a Flame Slash on this guy? Guess I'll use a Flame Slash. If he has a big creature, I can Narcolepsy. Bolt can eventually go to his face or something. And we'll just do the same thing we did before. Leave up Counterspell / Dispel. And it also leaves up Counterspell / Lightning Bolt. So no need to rush or get hasty or anything. Garrick's Companion, that's fine with me. Pit Skulk. I mean, we can just put removal spells on these guys. Let's just put removal spells on them, I guess. I'll bolt the companion now. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, he just concedes there. And we're going to the next game. So he's at 10 minutes. Just want to bring in more of our hate. So Dispel was nice there. We might not keep it in. Some of the cards I would immediately consider cutting are counter spells. We wanted, anything expensive, so potentially these, maybe even this. So what are our best cards that we can bring in against him? I think Arrows is pretty good. It's not good against Young Wolf, but if it can get us some 2-for-1s and shrink his guys, make them less threatening, it's a good thing. We also might want to cut a land, and that's because, again, we're lowering our curve. We want to be spell dense and early game oriented because that's what he's going to be. So I think cutting a land is something we can consider doing. Even though we have these Mole Drifters, they could be considered as 3-drops. So that leaves us 10 slots here and not a lot of time to decide. So let's say we bring in the Talismans. Because even if it's like a land, it's going to be gaining us life, so that could be good. Electrickery also might be good, especially because he's got Silhana Ledgewalker. There's a chance that Echoing Truth could be strong for us because it's going to impact the board. Dispel as well because it's a cheap counterspell that we can utilize. I think we still want these cards, even though it's going to glut us at the 3-drop slot. Those are going to kind of buy us. Well, they're going to help us close the game out later. Once we're 1-for-1 answering everything, we need to be able to refill after that because that's what makes the difference for this particular matchup. Now, Relic is decent against Young Wolf and Rancor, and it is a way to cycle, whereas Counterspell, I think, is just a little bit stronger because it's much more versatile. It can shut down any type of threat. Pump spell, creature, enchantment, all kinds of stuff. And since we're playing the Echoing Truth, which may or may not be a mistake, I think it's a decent choice. We can Truth a Mole Drifter or an Arrow, so it's not really a dead card. Yeah, let's try this out. We cut a blue land also because we're cutting our number of counter spells. So now we're down to, I believe, 16 blue sources. I need to submit, so let's go. Alright, so he's playing first. We have a hand that is a little slow, but I think we can keep because we're basically trying to get to arrows. It's not a great hand, but I think it's doable. We're on the draw, which is going to already be tough. There's a Young Wolf to start. That's also going to be tough. So there's a Flame Slash. So I'm going to go ahead and Guild Gate and prepare to use that, possibly with this spell backup. We may be able to pull this out, especially if he follows up with just a... Whatever he follows up with, we'll be willing to Flame Slash here. Relic of Progenitus. Interesting choice. So I guess I'm going to Preordain and Flame Slash, or I could just Flame Slash, play the Guild Gate, and then we have Talisman up. That's also a decent option. I think that's what we're going to do. Gives us more red, more color flexibility. Oh no, he could have Gather Courage here. Okay, he didn't, or he didn't want to use it. I forgot about that. That was kind of lame. We're probably going to end up killing some stuff. So next turn, we're probably not playing Pristine Talisman. We're probably casting Preordain, bolting, and leaving up Dispel or something like that. River Boa. Ooh, River Boa regenerates. In this case, I think we're going to go ahead and play Talisman and get ourselves ready for Serrated Arrows time. So, fortunately for us, his start is not that fast. I'm just going to do this. But depending what he does this turn, we could be in trouble. He's not really going to expect Serrated Arrows. We still have to deal with this, but I think we're in decent shape to be able to do that. Oh no! Gleeful Sabotage. He may have another one of those. Because he really just fired that off quickly. I'm going to go ahead and sack this now. And play another Talisman. And even if he kills it this time, we're ready for Serrated Arrows next turn. So, and we're at a pretty high life total considering it's turn 5. I'm thinking he has another Sabotage, but we'll see. Alright, he's down to 2 cards. I really like that. Okay. So I think priority 1 is killing the River Boa. And we'll leave up Dispel / Lightning Bolt. Regenerate. Well, it's not going to do anything. But I can understand, you know, we all asked that question initially. You know, how does -X work versus regenerate and stuff? It's worth a shot, you know? So we're still at 16. I'm liking that. We have an arrows. We got plenty of action here. So we'll see how this goes. And I'll take 3. Just passes. Okay. Preordain. Ooh, I like Frostburn weird. Okay, so we've got 2 spells open here. We've got the Serrated Arrows open. And we can arrow this the first time, but not the second time, because then the Undying will trigger once more. So, he's got to do something. We've got to keep in mind that this is in play. So far it hasn't mattered, but and we got to activate this. So he's got 3 cards. And he's staring down a 1/4. He needs to untap his Nettle Sentinel to do anything offensive. I don't think we want to use the arrow counter yet because we're not really pressured enough to the point where we need to do that. And the great thing about Pristine Talisman here, even though we're kind of setting ourselves up for another Sabotage, is the fact that every turn he waits and doesn't choose to be aggressive, we're going to just keep gaining life. So far, this has probably only gained us 3 life, I think. If that. But it's also been adding mana for us, and the longer this stays in play, the better it's going to be. And also, I didn't even complete that thought really. The 3 life is relevant against a deck like this that does not deal direct damage. So a lot of alliteration there. Does not deal direct damage. So, okay, go for it. Looks like he's planning on using a groundswell, but we kind of have that covered, I guess. So what's his play? Because I'm planning to block Young Wolf, I think, and then serrate that. And depending on what he tries to pump, like if he tries to pump this, I can just use an arrow on it. You always just want to think about how you can chip away at the highest number of threats. What's the most efficient way to chip away at these threats? So I can actually kill this guy too, because I have a lightning bolt and I have a dispel. So do I want to do that? Yeah, I think I'm willing to do that. Instead of taking 6 damage, and he has a groundswell. So here I dispel. He's got 5 minutes left, so he's not going to make it. I'm also going to just do all this, and I'm going to F6. So Dispel strikes again. That was pretty epic, right? Do I play this or hold on to it? I think I hold on to it in case we find Una's Grace, because we have enough lands to do whatever we want. And we got to make sure to use Talisman next turn. In fact, I should just do it now. He sent me a message. Very lucky. Yep. I can't argue with you there. I am quite lucky. So let's see what he does. I mean, he might just... Okay, he just concedes. We get a pack. So we 2-0'd that Stompy list. He was playing Silhana Ledgewalker main. He was playing Garrick's Companion main. And Gather Courage is, you know, stuff you usually see. Not all the decks play Companion. Not all the decks play Ledgewalker. We're able to fight through a very oppressive, very aggressive start in game 1, stabilized at 2 life, so I thought that was a pretty interesting game. This game was a little bit easier to navigate, and Serrated Arrows really held down the fort by taking out the River Boa, and then Pristine Talisman kept us at this relatively high life total. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Alright, we've got another round here. We've chosen to play first, and I'm going to keep this hand. So let's keep... And, you know, we've got some interaction here. I'm going to lead with the dual land. Just give us the most flexibility possible. Looks like it might be mono black. Ooh, there's a Delver, so I'm just going to play that and play my Evolving Wilds. This guy's probably biting the dust, but it's okay. Now... it's really hot here where I'm at right now, so my computer might be kind of slow in a second. I'm using my older computer, so we're going to let that resolve, obviously. We can't do anything about it. Not going to reveal, but we are going to kill that. It's an Evolving Wilds, so I think I'll just bolt and play the Evolving Wilds. Yeah, he might get us with a... Chittering Rats here. I don't know how we're going to do in this matchup, but we'll see. If he hits us with the Chittering Rats, I think I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, that's fine. Cool. Look at his foiled out Phyrexian Ranger. We definitely want to be mindful of the clock. So, do I want to think twice through this? No, definitely not. So, I'll just leave up think twice. And now I'm going to pass. We want to represent counter spells as well. We're getting to Mole Drifter now, so that's good. See what happens here. Liliana Spectre. Okay, so I'll pitch the think twice. He's going to bash. Now, I really want to find a counterspell because Grey Merchant's going to be a problem. Going to sack first. We don't want to draw more lands. And I think I'm going to get another blue. So I don't think we're going to need more than 2 red sources. There's a bolt. That's pretty good. Counterspell? What is it? Logic Knot. Yes! Now we're talking. So I'm going to bolt this and just bash. And I'm fine using Dispel on a removal because the Dispel is not going to be very live anyway, so... Ravenous Rats. That's going to make me discard also. So I guess I'll go ahead and counter it. I'll do it like this. I mean, it doesn't play around Dark Ritual, but it at least makes him worry about me countering his next play. But he doesn't seem very worried at all. Looks like Unearth. Okay, so I guess I'll get rid of this Dispel. And we'll use the Delver defensively. Well, we'll see. I mean, it depends if he can get rid of my Mole Drifter with another Rats. Doesn't look like it. But the problem is he's going to Merchant us. So I am going to get defensive here. Yeah, this game's looking kind of rough. Sign in Blood, sure. I mean, we could attack, but I think a Grey Merchant's just going to be kind of rough. This is going to be a battle of the clock, so... I don't think attacking does anything for us. They run 4 Grey Merchants. He's seen just as many cards as us. So... he probably has one. Should I check my connection here? Alright, what are we drawing? Okay, that's good enough. That's not bad. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's be mindful of the fact that he may make us discard. Island Curse. We probably want Curse, but we don't want the island. And if he makes us discard, we can discard the Curse. Doesn't take away from his devotion count, and I'm not going to attack. I'm just going to start defending. We're going to try and play for a long game where we get some more cards with that Mole Drifter and then counter his bigger plays and run him out of devotion. Okay, I'm going to sacrifice the Mole Drifter. So he doesn't have a Merchant yet. Gonna block the Spectre. I'll block that too because I still have a Mole Drifter. We're gonna run the Mole Drifter. Hopefully find a removal spell. Or, I mean, a land's okay, but... Delver's cool. I'll go ahead and run it. We don't want to leave lands in hand because Chittering Rats really punishes that. So how many... We've gone through 2 Delvers and 2 Mole Drifters. So we have 2 Frostburn Weirds, 2 Mole Drifters, 2 Delvers to finish out the game. I'll block the Spectre. It's 1-for-1 trade. We can try and get ahead on cards soon. But Gary's going to be annoying. So I'll curse him and hopefully flip and block the Chittering Rats. Flipping on counterspell is probably the best thing that could happen. Cool. So now we just wait. Hope he doesn't have anything. I mean, we're going to counter anything, so it doesn't matter. Definitely going to block that. This is what we want the board to look like. Him with no offensive capabilities. Pretty much counter anything relevant. Yep. And hope to find a Mole Drifter on the top. Or, you know, preordain something cool. And the fact that he's running out of time, well, not running out, but that we're getting a time advantage, should be good in this matchup. We are going to board into Curse of the Bloody Tome, spoiler alert, down to 1 card. Cool. We have good top decks, as you can see. Want the Mole Drifter. The Fountain's okay, but it's just a land, really. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I guess we'll have to bottom it. It's an interesting discussion, but I'm not going to have it right now. We got to just make decisions and get on with life. Alright, that's good. Hopefully he doesn't draw anything awesome. Because once we untap, we're in decent position there. This can account for 2 creatures. And this can stop any haymakers, but that Sign and Blood's a pretty big draw for him. Oh, he found one. So we're going to 6, and then we don't really have anything to stop. Oh, this is even worse. This is a Gurmag Angler. This is even worse than a Grey Merchant. Unless I find a Bolt. Ooh, right in time, right on time. Well, lucky me. I'm going to leave the other half of the Firebolt. Well, I have to. Yeah, I have to do it this way. That's okay, though. Puts us in a position where we kind of have to counter anything. Because most of his creatures make us discard, but we definitely want to counter that. We don't have removal for it, and it's going to deal 4 to us. We might steal this game. Okay, that's not too bad. So let's bash. I mean, he's got haymakers. I just need him to... He needs to whiff on a couple draw steps, and I need to find more card draw and counter magic. Okay. That's pretty good for him. Yep. It's not great, but it's okay. Oh, that's disgusting. Disgusting. I'm definitely firebolting that rat, so we can't give him any more time. Wow, that sucks. Yeah, we're using the firebolt. Ugh. Dude, just whiff. Just draw four swamps and I let me draw some greatness. Okay. I don't know what that means. Okay, just attack. I mean, there's a lot of creatures he could draw that would be good for me. Alright, that's great. I need to find a counterspell. Yes! Alright, we want the Frostburn Weird also. Okay, so we may still be able to steal this game. But we're at 2. Keep in mind we're at 2. So we gotta navigate this very carefully. That's fine. Alright. We can do this. That corrupt was so disgusting. Yeah, he's a little flooded here. I'm not interested in playing around Disfigure. I have 7 mana, so I can think twice and pump twice. Ooh, there's a Delver too. So I guess I just... Yeah, I pump twice here. Hang on. Let's just try and do this so I can save time. We may have just stolen it. If he's on air, we may have just stolen the game. Oh, we did. Another game one that we narrowly managed to escape. So I think I am going to board out of creatures and board into my curse plan. Not board out of all my creatures, because I don't really have... We don't have Stormbound Geist in this deck, and that would be pretty strong against Mono Black. So I think Dispel's weak. It's very narrow. It's only going to counter removal, and since we're taking some of our creatures out, I think we're going to, want to get rid of it. Now, of our creatures, Delver does put him under a clock. I think Frostburn Weird's a little better at holding the ground. So I might cut the Delvers. We could play Talisman to help us out a little bit. I think Arrows and Relic are both fairly strong. Still have 2 cards. So Echoing Truth doesn't do a lot because it bounces mostly creatures on his side, and all of his creatures have enter the battlefield effects. Pristine Talisman might help against Wrenchmind. So that leaves... he does have Liliana Spectre and Ravenous Rats. So I'll try that just as another removal spell. Plus, we can tag it on with a Flame Slash to kill his Gurmag Angler. Alright. This looks about good. Maybe too much mana with the 2 talismans, but we'll see what happens. And only having 2... Ooh, this is an interesting hand. I think I'll keep it, though. Only having 2 curses might dilute our game plan a little too much, but we'll see. Definitely getting a blue source with that. So he's got a slow hand. That might help us a lot, actually. Ooh, so here I want to preordain first. We can leave up Lightning Bolt or find a tapped land. Do I want the Flame Slash? Well, I can't really do it because I'm going to get the Evolving Wilds. So, and this will be interesting because I think next turn I'm just going to go for the Curse, and then I'm just going to start because I don't need to counter a 4-drop or anything. I think I'll just go ahead and curse him, and then from the rest of the game, I'll just remove stuff. Or I could bolt and leave up Counterspell. That actually might be better. No, I think we're okay with this. I think we just start the clock right now and see how that goes for us. Cool, so it has begun. There's not a lot he can do to us on this turn that'll be that punishing, so. And we're stopping his next few plays, so I think this actually looks quite good for us. As long as we don't tap out too low. I mean, the best he could have here is Duress into Chittering Rats, but I don't think he's going to have that. That would be pretty ill. What is a 4 mana? Oh. Ooh, that could be a problem. Ooh, that could be dangerous. Because I'm going to take a 5. Ooh. Alright, I'm going to take 5. Yeah, I'll just bolt this. We have to find one of our narcolepsies. I mean, we could find another red source, but the question is, do I want to take 7 this turn, or do I want to take 5? So we did get a Duress out of him. Ugh. We let him... So that was a mistake. We let him have a Gurmag Angler, and that could be it. I mean, seriously. I guess that's fine. I guess I can bolt it. Okay, that's fine. Please let me think twice. Oh, man. So I should have bolted the Rager and then cast and just left up Counterspell. I was way too greedy with the Curse. That's good, but I think we got to kill his guy right now. Yeah, our land screw is also hurting us a bit. We've gotten a bunch of his sign-in bloods, but we've got 3 turns to deal with this. So, and Talisman's not going to extend the clock at all. Okay. I hope he just has removal so I can cast Think Twice and, go deeper into my deck. I just need to find a Narcolepsy for this and call it a day, But we only have 2 in the deck, so it's not that easy. It also could be a mistake that I'm bolting stuff that's not the Angler, but I think this is actually correct. I mean, the real mistake was letting him have the Angler. I didn't even think about that. And it's weird because this is the card of our time, guys. Really look at this card. This is the Tarmogoyf of this format. This creature is a huge impact on the field. There's a Dimir Delver Angler deck that exists purely because this card exists. So I need to start respecting this card a hell of a lot more. It dodges a lot of the red removal, and it's bigger than all the creatures, so it's just really a pain. And I need to stop getting my ass beat by it. It's just not acceptable. Really? I'm going to counter that? Yeah. I really am. And of course he's going to do something ridiculous like that. I need Narcolepsy right now, and even then I might not make it. Well, he's got 7 on the table. I mean, how can I even get out of this? I don't think there's a way, but I think if there is, it probably starts with that. I don't know if discarding the land's correct or not. He's probably got me here. Yeah, that was really greedy just to throw the curse down. That was stupid. I should have thought about Angler, but it was not even on my mind. So we're gonna lose this game, but we're going to game 3. He does know about the curse plan, but there's not really a lot he can do about it. I mean, I could draw removal for Spectre, but he's definitely got removal for Weird. I can't even cast Talisman here. He's definitely got removal. But we'll try. We get to see a little more of his deck. Yeah, I think actually Electrickery might be pretty good. Yeah, I screwed up letting him have this Angler. And we just gave him a better shot at hitting something good. I mean, I'm just going to be chump blocking. Well, if we draw Narcolepsy, maybe we can do something. If I have nothing, I'm actually just going to play my next curse so I can see more cards. Alright, I'm going to actually discard the curse. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's a game. So let's go to game 3. He's got a lot of creatures still. I mean, it's not much we can change unless we want to actually play creatures now. But I don't think we're beating him with creatures. I don't think having Delver... having Delver that game might have made a difference, but I think we keep it like this. Just don't let him have Angler. Angler is sometimes more deadly than anything in his deck, so... cannot be allowed to happen. So it looks like maybe he's still sideboarding. He's got Duress, which is quite good against blue. In my opinion, I think Duress is underrated. Such a great proactive card. It clears a path for whatever you want to do. We're going to play first. And yeah, this looks good. I'll go ahead and play Cliffs to get my red going. And then I can play Relic. He may turn 1 Duress us. But what's he going to take from this hand? This hand's pretty well suited to go long from the looks. No Duress. So let's go ahead and preordain first. I want to find lands. I want to find counter magic. I mean, I can take the counter spell, but I don't want the research because I don't have lands right now. And I'll go ahead and play this. Because why not? It's going to chip away. It's going to make it harder for him to cast Unearth, harder to cast Angler. Alright, now I can F8 or whatever. It's possible this game goes long enough for him to time out. He may just cast Sign in Blood here. Relic does kind of chip away at the opponent's clock, so... yeah, Sign in Blood. I'd like a land. clean up. So he has to actually. Okay, so he's gonna have one card in the yard, so there's no way he can play Angler. I don't think. Do we want both of these lands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I guess so. And we can leave up Relic, Activation. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Actually, it kind of sucks. Because it misses, we miss our land drop. Oh well. He might have missed a land also. We're just going to have to pass next turn. And leave up. But then the turn after that, I believe we can play. Well, we'll see. Actually, we have Una's Grace also, so let's just leave everything up. We're doing okay. He's missing lands, but that means he's spell dense also. So that's kind of crappy too. There's his land. Obviously, I'm just going to take this hit. We're going to make up for the rats, kind of, by casting Una's Grace, if he doesn't do anything, but of course he's probably going to do something. I'm actually going to let him have that. It's just like a divination. In most instances, you know, if you're playing control versus control, you wouldn't do a divination. So here we have the option of just pitching the Talisman, which I think is better than which I think is better than countering this. So I get to untap and curse this and leave up counterspell. So I guess that's good. We're at 20. We're perfectly safe for the time being. I mean, he's got annoying threats, but our plan is to draw into some more stuff. It's kind of unfortunate that this is in our yard. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and have to counter this, I think. Let's try and 1-for-1 as best we can. You know, it's possible we should let it go, but it's hard to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's very close to getting us with that Angler. Definitely going to play this. I'm just not sure if I should Relic actually bust his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He needs an untapped land to play Angler. It's more likely that he's going to have a Gray Merchant, so this might actually be tough for us. I don't want to show him that we don't have Counterspell just by cracking this. Plus, we may want to conserve our graveyard. Well, this is kind of lame. That's okay. If he plays Spectre, I think I almost have to pop this. Okay, that's not too bad. We get a chance to untap and maybe get something going here. Hopefully he fires off a Duress and misses. He has 6 cards. I don't think he hit a land, so he's all spells. Depends what we draw. whether or not I play this. It's a Flame Slash. Alright, I'm going to play this then. We're one removal spell away either from hitting... Hang on. We're one removal spell away from either hitting his Angler, or we already have what we need to kill Grey Merchant, so... I think it's time to play this for sure. I mean, he's getting to the point where he can play Anglers all day. And we draw a billion removal spells, so great. I think we're in good shape here. As long as he doesn't chain a bunch of Grey Merchants or do something similarly crazy. We've got Narcolepsy for Angler. You know, we've got a lot going for us. See how many threats he can lay down in a turn. Okay, so what do we want to hide? I guess Narcolepsy, in case he has a Duress. Ugh. Well, kind of doesn't matter what we pitch at this point. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I may have to just blow up his graveyard. We're going to see. So I don't think casting Think Twice does anything. I mean, we're going to take a huge hit from a Grey Merchant for about 7. But we kind of have to do this. I mean, he's going to... Man, is this our only other answer? It's our only other answer to Angler, so this is looking real bad. Alright. Oh, wait. We at least want to hit his graveyard. Even though it doesn't do a lot. He just had so many threats this game. I don't know. You know, it's hard to do. That's the problem with these dumb control decks sometimes. It's that you can't always answer everything. And in the right sequence, you know. He's playing these smaller dudes, which if we just resolved one, well, we're still in it. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have anything, but if we just had a Frostburn Weird on the table, none of these threats would matter. But the sequence that things went down, we have to deal with these. I mean, maybe I should have waited on the Narcolepsy, but yeah, the Relic doesn't even... So this is going to be a huge thing to deal with. I'm not going to blow my Relic. We don't have Echoing Truth, so... Not sure how we deal with this. Okay, so first I'm going to think twice. There's another Think Twice. I want to leave that behind. I want to have 6 lands at least. And I want to represent something. I mean, we haven't seen one merchant from him. And we know that it can deal 8 to us, which is terrifying. But, I mean, we're so far behind. The idea is, you know, 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 1 for 1, and then draw out of it while they're drawing blanks. That's kind of what happens, but this deck can go the distance. He doesn't actually have another threat, so at least we're, you know, that's one good thing. This Relic is doing nothing for us. So let's think twice first. I may end up just playing Curse here, but Alright, that's part of the equation. I think I'm just going to play Curse. I'm going to leave the land in my hand. The only problem is a Chittering Rats really punishes that. But I want to be able to flashback Una's Grace, so I'm going to play a little bit greedy. We don't have a lot of time, so I need to find another removal spell. I need to find a Flame Slash or whatever. Oops. I should have stopped there. I mean, obviously, Grey Merchant gets us too, so. Flame Slash, Lightning Bolt, same difference. I mean, yeah. We can get out of this if he didn't draw well. I mean, we may have drawn him into whatever. Nope, that's the end. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Better luck next time.